Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stories of Significance here on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network. I'm joined here in the studio by Mr. Mike Teague. Say hello to the fans at home.
Hello, fans at home.
We're coming to you with another one of our amazing student athletes today. You will have a chance to hear from Grady Connor off the baseball team here at Vanguard. He's a four-year member of the Lions, which is always a special part when we get those guys to be here 4 years, do their entire collegiate journey with us from any of our sports. That's really special. So a couple things we're just going to touch on real quick before we jump into the conversation that Mike had. So Mike, we had a kind of a big all-department event. Why don't you tell the folks at home what happened last weekend?
Yeah, so this last weekend was our Hall of Fame weekend where we inducted 8 new members to the Hall of Fame. It was
largest class?
Crazy. We had an awesome banquet. We got to recognize them. We had a little event off campus as well at Sergeant Pepperoni's Pizza. Thanks to Sergeant Pepperoni.
Shout out to them. Yeah. You can't go wrong over there.
Sergeant Pep's always dishing up the good stuff. But yeah, we were able to go through and recognize some incredible talent that has come through Vanguard throughout the years, including another team that was being inducted, that 2008 National Championship team. Really just a cool opportunity to see so many of the past athletes coming back here and coming back to a place that was so special to them and obviously making an impact here on this campus. And just it was truly a special weekend for us, and we were able to do that. And I think moving forward, we're excited about what the next few classes look like, and I think that's an event that's just going to continue to grow. But Jeff, on top of that, this upcoming weekend we have an invasion going on in NorCal, right? And what are you up to up there?
Yeah, so this weekend we will have our basketball teams go up to NorCal. They'll be at Menlo on Thursday and then Jessup on Saturday. Our wrestling team will be at Menlo this weekend for their first ever competition, the Cascade Collegiate Conference Championships there for wrestling, hoping to push a couple guys through to the national championships. And then our baseball team's going to open up their GSAC series up there as well. So got a lot of people going to the same spot. Surprisingly, no one's on the same flight, though. That's the really interesting part. Yeah. So as well as that, we have beach volleyball kicking off this weekend, softball's at home, track and fields down in Soka, I believe, just down the street.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. And men's volleyball is playing 17 games this week somehow. I don't know what we're doing on that. So it's an exciting time to be here around Vanguard. Still in that crossover season for a couple more weeks. It's a really active part around this campus. So it's a really special time that Mike Teague got to sit down with Grady Connor from our baseball team. He's an outfielder. He's crushing the ball right now offensively. So it's really special to see that. So we're going to now jump into that conversation that Mike Teague had with Grady Connor.
All right, welcome back into the podcast studio where we have Grady Connor with us here today. Grady's one of our baseball student athletes here, 4-year guy for us. Grady, welcome here to the office/podcast studio.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries, man. Let's get started. Just have people just tell us about yourself a little bit. Who you are, where you're from. Obviously position and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm a 4-year guy here. I've been here since first semester of freshman year, straight out of high school. Grew up in Costa Mesa, right across the street. I've been tied to Vanguard probably since I was like 2 or 3. My dad used to work here. He was a head athletic trainer. So I've been on campus a lot, been around, very familiar with it. It's always kind of a dream to come here, kind of a goal, always an option. And here I am, 21, about to graduate. It's good. It's been a good time.
Nice. And for you mentioned, living across the street, kind of you grew up here on campus. And was baseball your first love? Like, do you remember coming to games here, like, as your dad was the trainer, and you were thinking like, man, I'd like to play in that field one day?
I played soccer for a long time, so I always thought playing soccer would be cool. And then I got into baseball, and I would come out to baseball games quite a bit. I always remember watching the big kids. I always thought they were like major leaguers, but I guess that's what everybody is when you're 6 and 7. It was kind of a dream, just because I looked up to all those guys who were there back then. I don't remember anybody, but that was like the standard that I thought I wanted to get to. So
yeah, and now for you, baseball, as you know, it's kind of a transfer sport almost this week, right? Like you get a lot of guys who are coming in from JUCOs and just coming in, and so it's actually kind of rare to have 4-year guys. And you mentioned you're a 4-year guy here. But you weren't just a guy who came in and just had to get big, and didn't play freshman, sophomore year. You've gotten some pretty significant at-bats your 4 years here. What's that kind of been like for you, and what do you think kind of helps you get to that point of just right off the bat being able to step in and start contributing to the team?
Well, I think an important key that is good to note is my freshman year, Coach Beck only told me I wasn't redshirting because I hit left-handed.
Okay.
So starting off the bat, being a left-handed hitter has benefited me extremely well. My freshman year, I played in over 40 games and got big at-bats, and then that's something that was a blessing in disguise. And I think it was more the mentality. In high school, I was the guy on our team, so I was always expecting to play. And so I came here with that sort of same mentality, and it didn't really slow me down. I did run into a couple walls just because the skill level was much higher, but it was still that mentality where I expected to play, I expected to do really well. Even though I didn't always meet my expectations, it was pushing every day, knowing that I want to achieve this goal and the standard I set for myself.
Yeah, and for you in your 4 years here, what have been some of the highlights you've had, and maybe some like the times you were like, man, I'm not sure if I'm going to get out of this hole. Maybe some ruts that you've had as well.
Freshman year was great. It was great being a freshman, looking up to guys like Brandon Sandoval, Brock Eisman, some of the seniors we had, Trey, Patrick. These guys really showed what it was like to be a baseball player here. Great examples. Then sophomore year, I kind of really hit a sophomore slump, if you want to call it, but I stuck to it. I think the biggest turning point in my career was spending the summer up at Driveline Baseball. I really learned a lot there. Got back to my roots almost, getting some more confidence coming back junior year. And then junior year was great. It was a fun year. We had a bunch of good guys. We just missed the mark just a little bit. And then this year, I think one of the best moments I've had was going back-to-back home runs with Chad Sutton, Josh Weeks, another 4-year guy, and then me coming up third. It was just a testament to stuff changes so fast, and you just got to stick to what you're doing, because the guys that you have been here the longest with are going to go through the big moments with you, and then there's always guys that you've only been here for a semester with that are just right alongside for the ride. I've played with so many guys, a couple of one-year guys that I only played with for 1 year because they were seniors. The team changes so often, but everybody has the same goal and the same mindset, and I think that part, once you step onto the field, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. You mentioned that you played with so many guys. I think baseball is one of those unique sports you have a lot of roster turnover every year, right? What is it like for you being able to basically step into almost a brand new team every year? How is it that, you guys spend a lot of time with each other in the dugout and games on the road and all that stuff? How important is that to have that team camaraderie? And how do you feel that this team does that team kind of have that this year?
Well, yeah, like you said, we put together a team of about 40 guys on the fall starts, and about 20 of those guys almost every year are new. But for some, I don't know, I've never been that new guy except for my freshman year, but it always seems like guys they get here and there's nothing like separating anybody. We just lock in. We're all here to play baseball. We're all here to have fun. The road trips and stuff like that are just a bonus in my opinion, because everything that leads up to that is built in practice. And in practice, it's like we're just pushing one another to get better. We're having fun. We're giving each other a hard time because we love each other. A new guy here, a new guy there, like no matter how long you're here, you can recognize that we're just a bunch of college kids wanting to play baseball and giving each other a hard time because it's fun.
Yeah.
We're making each other better. We want to win ball games, and at the end of the day, that's all it comes down to. We want to have fun. We want to win ball games, and we're all really competitive. And that's just the bond that we build together.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I think that's something special that baseball players have that I think a lot of other sports don't have. I think other sports understand kind of the bond that you guys have because of how much time you spend together and how much you guys dedicate to your craft. You guys are out there grinding.
Yeah, so, well, one downside is we don't have a gym here big enough for us to lift in together, but a lot of guys, which is cool. We all go lift together at the 24-hour fitness down the street.
Oh, cool.
That's just another, like, nothing mandatory. We just go there and we put in hours every week together just for fun. And I think that's the extra bond that stuff like that, like hanging out on the weekends, hanging out at the gym, going to the beach, all that stuff outside of practice, it just all accumulates together. And no matter what background you come from, it's looked past here, and we're all just living in the present and trying to enjoy and get to know one another as good as we can.
Yeah, that's really cool, and I think that's something special for you in your senior year, really kind of taking advantage of those final moments that you're going to have, right, with this program. What are maybe some things this year, and you don't have to say them all, because sometimes, traditions are supposed to stay within the team, but maybe what are some things this year that you guys are doing that are maybe, I know baseball sometimes a superstition sport as well, but maybe some superstitions or some things that you guys do that it's a little unique this year, or maybe some even nicknames that you guys have for some guys, or some fun things that make this team different?
Well, I think what makes this team different, and I can start off by saying this team is probably maybe not the most talented team that I've been a part of. We have a ton of extremely skilled talent, but we get along like no other team I've been on. There's never really some down, like if someone's down, we pick them up. We're all just a bunch of friends, just brothers hanging out, having fun in the dugout. I think one main thing that ties into our team identity is that we're loose. We like to go out there and we're gonna have fun. One guy doesn't succeed, the next guy picks him up. And in the dugout, if you come to a game and watch us, we're dancing around, we're yelling, we're just having a good time. Because I think that's what the most important is. We got to stay loose, got to have fun, got to trust in one another to pick us up. And I think our team has a really good chemistry at that. We all have faith in one another to do the job. And if it doesn't succeed, we go to bed at night and come back the next day and it happens. So I think traditions and, I don't know, habits that we've created, it's just being brothers. Nothing too complicated to it. It's just treating each other day in and day out like we love each other. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, that's good. That's going to go a long way to helping you guys. I think, like I said, that's the most important thing. If you guys stay loose throughout the whole season, just have fun with it.
Yeah,
that's going to be more fun than anything else, right?
Yeah.
So transition now kind of more to the Vanguard side of things. What are you majoring in? What's kind of the plan for you? I'm assuming you're probably going to try to pursue professional baseball. I know you. For those who don't know, Grady's a really good little player. So, but what's kind of the plan for you?
Well, right now I'm not trying to focus on too much the job I want to get after. I'm just trying to building up to this year. I just really wanted to focus on baseball. I'm enjoying my last few months as a baseball player, especially at the college level. Everything is in God's hands. I know He's got a plan, and so I'm just going to do my best day in and day out. And if something happens at the end of the season, somebody likes me enough to give me an opportunity, I'll take that opportunity with open arms. But I'm not guaranteed anything, so day in and day out, I'm just trying to enjoy every minute I have on the baseball field, because I know it could be my last, I could still have 2 months left. We could still play a ton of good games, but I don't want to take anything for granted. But I am a business major, so going into graduation, I'm kind of putting some feelers out, nothing too serious. I don't really have that dream job yet, not really sure. I want to stay in sports, want to stay in something business-minded. I got to find something that connects the two that I'm really interested in. But I work at Trader Joe's currently, so it's a great part-time job for me, going through school and then going through the summer and the fall as I look for another job. Other than that, I sound pretty mindless and not goal-oriented right now, but I know God's got a plan, and I'm not trying to force anything too much because He's always got my back. So doors are open, and doors that need to be closed will close. And I'm leaving it up to him because I know he's got a plan.
Yeah, that's good. The Biola, I'm sorry, not Biola, the baseball, the baseball alumni here at Vanguard are they're pretty esteemed, and you've got a lot of some incredible just alumni here. Have you been able to connect with them at all and talk to them about their experience there, maybe how they've taken what they've learned on the baseball field here to business and what they're doing from there?
Yeah, actually, I kept in touch with a lot of guys. A lot of guys are not like going crazy yet, but they're all setting high goals for themselves. One of my good friends that I keep in touch with a lot is Bryce Weatherall. He's a fitness freak. He's an extreme athlete. He's been doing a lot of personal training, a lot of stuff involved with the gym. He's doing great. I just talked to another guy the other day, Brock Eisman, helped him with the photo shoot. He's starting up I don't know exactly what he'd want to call it, but it's more psychology oriented. I think he wants to start his own practice, more related to athletes. He's had a huge heart, so I think he's going to do really great. But a lot of guys are staying in the game, whether it's coaching or just helping out here and there. I know one of my buddies, Tyler Steele, I think he went to work in like grocery or something like that, where he sells grocery to big corporations. So he's doing good. I don't hear anything bad about a lot of the guys that graduate, and I have a lot of good guys and connections that I can talk to. So I think part of that is coming to Vanguard. So many people, so many connections, and it's very personal here. You don't just get lost in the thousands of kids that you're around every day. Everybody kind of knows you, and so you just create those bonds and connections day in, day out, and you have a phone full of contacts at the end of the day that you can call, and somebody's going to answer.
Yeah, that's good. You talk about kind of Vanguard being able to set you up for that kind of that small campus. Has there been a class or maybe even a professor for you that's been most impactful and really helped kind of push your boundaries and maybe just helping you broaden that perspective as well? Is there anyone that kind of stands out to you?
I mean, all the professors in the business department do a great job of kind of like sitting the class down, and they're not so fixed up on whether you pass the class or not. They really want to dive into you as a person, and they're going to be along there to help you pass the class because they know that's important also. But a lot of teachers and professors, they really want to know you. And so one professor that stands out to me the most right now is Professor Gray. He always makes time in class to share his story, connect to us. He's always there. He gives us his phone number. He says, you guys can hit me up anytime you want. He's very helpful. He was always sharing good insight. He always shares his experiences, because I think once you hear other people's experiences, yours they're not disqualified, but it's like, man, other people go through some gnarly stuff. And what I've gone through, I've been blessed in many, many ways. So I think it's always nice to be humbled by other people's stories, and Professor Gray does a great job at kind of sharing life perspective and guiding you in the right direction as a graduating student, as a Christian in the business world. I enjoy his classes a lot, just not because of what he brings to the table business-wise, but as a person and as his experience.
Yeah. No, that's like you said, that business department, they've got some incredible professors all throughout the department. I think anyone who comes to Vanguard to study business is like going to be impacted pretty well.
You're in good hands.
Yeah, definitely. So moving back over to baseball, what's kind of a goal, maybe personally, and then even for the team that you've set for yourself, or as a team, or are you a guy who just doesn't set goals? It's just one at bat at a time.
I have a couple performance goals.
Yeah.
I don't really like to talk about them because
no worries. Yeah.
Because I would, but it's more one thing. Like, I don't like to worry too much about the outcome, because then it gets in my head, and I don't need to worry about that.
Totally.
I think the most important at bat is the next one. So flushing successes and failures down the drain at the same time prepares me well for the next game, the next at bat. So I have a few performance goals that I'm keeping in mind, but at the end of the season is the only time that it really matters if I've achieved those or not. As a team, the end goal is always to get to Lewiston and win a championship. I think another big goal for us is to win our first GSAC championship. We know we've had some very successful years last year. We're in first place until the last 2 weeks of the season last year. We came really close. My sophomore year, freshman year actually, we were one game away. So it's always a goal for us to get to Lewiston, but we understand that there's a lot that happens before that.
Yeah.
So I think our next goal is to win every weekend that we play the baseball and come out with the GSAC championship, because Vanguard needs one of those. We put together a great team every single year, and so far we don't have a championship yet, and we want to bring it back to Vanguard this year.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And you talk about the GSAC. I don't think the West Coast gets enough love when it comes to baseball, man. There are some teams out here, right?
Yeah, and like I said last year, we went from first place to sixth place in 2 weeks of baseball.
Yeah.
That's how tight our conference was. We had, exactly. First place and sixth place were separated by, I think, 3 games or something like that. And it's just the competition. Any team in our conference can come out and win and have a winning record. The competition's good almost everywhere, but the amount of talent that we have in one centralized spot here is I think it's unmatched anywhere else. The dudes we get D1 bounce backs, we get JUCO guys that should be going D1, but they honestly want to stay at a smaller school or stay close to home.
Mm-hmm.
So the talent here and throughout everywhere it's unbelievable. I think Vanguard and other schools in the GSAC get knocked because they're NAIA schools, and not a lot of people know what NAIA is.
Right.
But we can compete with almost anybody in the country. That's just because of the talent we have, and I think anybody in our conference can too. It's a good ball game, 1 through 9. Every inning's a dogfight, and it's fun. It's fun when everybody's good. So I hope it's the same way this year. I just hope we can push through a couple more weeks and finish out in that number 1 spot.
Yeah, really. It's not even who's most talented, because everyone's most talented.
No.
Who can be the most consistent throughout the whole season? Right?
Exactly.
So that's the thing. You really can't take even 2 weeks off, because like you mentioned, you guys were in first, and then in 2 weeks you guys just had kind of a little slump, and it went away just like that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be locked in until the end of the season, because if you take a break, it's going to bite you in the end.
Yeah, no, that's good. As we kind of close out here, what do you think, during this time in your life, kind of this chapter of your life, what's one thing you think that God's challenging you with right now?
I think probably the past year and a half of school has been more like keeping me honest, keeping me grounded, and really challenging my faith and patience, because especially in today's world, we want everything so quick, so fast, immediate satisfaction. But I think patience has been a huge thing he's challenging me in, on the baseball field, off the baseball field, just in a personal sense. I think it's something a lot of people struggle with, so I can always go and talk to people about it. But it's something that's been on my mind a lot recently, and I look back and I notice that when I am patient, he always comes through. There's no need to try to force anything, especially like I was saying earlier. He's got a plan. He's guiding your footsteps. You just gotta trust him and take each day as it is and just make the best of it, because as long as you're following him and what he wants for you, you're going to be successful. And that's what I've really learned over the past year and a half, is really just putting my faith in him, being patient, and letting his hands take over.
That's good. It goes back to, I've talked with actually a lot of student athletes on this podcast about just being present. And it's just being present in those moments and having patience and working in the background.
Working in the background, not worrying about tomorrow
Yep.
because it's not guaranteed. He knows what it's up to and just working in the present, being patient, and putting your faith in it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's some good stuff here from Grady Connor, senior baseball player. So Grady, as we kind of finish this out, any advice for, we'll just say this, any of these student athletes who are just coming into it, just finishing up their first year, and Vanguard or just in sport in general?
Advice, man. I think really diving into your professors. They got a lot of great connections, a lot of great advice. Diving into your coaches. All the coaches here are phenomenal people on and off the field. It's the people here that makes the difference compared to any of the other schools. Everybody that comes here as a transfer, like we said, baseball's got so many of them. They all say that Vanguard stands out just because it's a personal experience. So I think dive into the people, take it day by day. Don't try to force anything, and just make yourself the best human, the best athlete you can possibly be while you're here, because you have a lot of support by you and around you. Just take it day by day, have fun, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Words of wisdom here from Grady Conner, baseball player here at Vanguard. So thanks so much for joining us today, Grady, and good luck the rest of the season as you go throughout it.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
And we're back here on Stories of Significance here on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network. Mike, I certainly know what my favorite part of that conversation was, but what was your favorite part of that conversation that you just had that our folks just listened to with Grady?
Yeah, Grady, with baseball, we talked about this in our discussion you just heard, but you heard, it's kind of a transfer sport. You don't see many guys who come in and start as a freshman and then play their 4 years. And for him, he came in and made an impact his freshman year. Talked about kind of his ride going through the last 4 years, but I think it's really cool for him. He basically grew up on this campus. He grew up literally across the street. Was here since he was 2 years old, as his dad was the head athletic trainer here, and it's kind of coming full circle for him. He always wanted to come here, and he's here, and he's making an impact, and not just an impact on the baseball field, but he's a great member of the community, and really is diving into what our student athletes are trying to accomplish. He's been a member of the CSA in the past. He's been a line leader. He's someone who's, like I said, he's just a good kid, and I think he's got a lot of things going for him. And it was just cool talking with him, and just talking through what the season looks like, his kind of goals for the year, and just how this team's come together. But yeah, really awesome conversation with Grady, and I think that him and the rest of the team are going to be poised for some success this season. They've already shown a lot of success this season. A lot of big hitters all the way up and down the lineup, as well as some really solid pitching. So I think they're poised for a really solid special season. And Grady, as a 4-year starter on that team, is going to be one of those leaders who's going to help them get to that point, which at the end of the day is hopefully Lewiston.
Yes, absolutely. And it's kind of funny. We've noticed this, our trend of just talking with folks during their senior year. They get a little almost mystical of thinking back across their journey. Even when they're in the midst of it, they can kind of compartmentalize a little bit. And it's always interesting to kind of watch that, those memories and stuff coming through in real time when we're talking to our student athletes on this podcast. So thank you guys so much for joining us on this week's episode of Stories of Significance. Be sure to like and subscribe, rate us all around. We thank you guys for however you're listening to us: SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Facebook, all of it. We thank you guys for allowing Mike and I to bring you these stories each week. It's an honor for us to guide you through the impact our department is having on the lives of our student athletes. So we will catch you next week here on Stories of Significance here on the Vanguard Athletics Podcast Network.